Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my good friend, Julie Coleman from Oler Relo Group. How are you doing, Julie?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to have you here.
Good. I was thinking about it the other day. It's been almost 4 years since I was on Love and Relo.
Wow. Too long.
It was.
A lot's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff's happened. Get in those comments, hit that like button. If you've got questions for Julie or just want to give her a shout out, send her some love, get in there, hit that applause button. That's my favorite one. Get in there, ask her some questions. Ask some hard questions. How about some mobility policy questions, hard-hitting questions? I'm going to be asking her about her new job. I'm going to be asking her about expansion, murmurings I'm hearing and stuff. So we're going to be talking about that, maybe a little HRP action too. So we're going to be talking about all that. And Move for Hunger has a cool little announcement. Adam, do we have that as well? Because we're both affiliated with Move for Hunger, big supporters. So it's like the last day or week for their they have a big drive going on right now. So Adam, if we have that as well, let's put that in there. Charles Beatty checking in. Hi, Julie. Glad to see you on the show. Charles, she's right here in Dallas. You got to come over, man. Charles right up there in Allen by me.
Yeah.
And we got Tom Brune checking. Howdy down there. Tom, it's good to see you.
Tom's a good friend of mine.
He's good people.
Yeah. I worked with him when I was at Cardis.
Really?
Yep.
Got any Tom stories?
Just always the nicest guy.
He's nice.
Yeah.
Super smart too. Nice and smart. Great combo. And a heck of a musician too, I think.
Oh,
right?
I didn't know that.
I think he's like a drummer or something. Tom, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm out here just throwing stuff around. Yes, thank you. And on the bottom of the screen, you will see scrolling right now is the Move for Hunger. This is the last week to register for our Move to Fight Hunger Challenge. So check out that link right there. It's moveforhunger.org/move. Are you participating in this?
I am.
Is it does it require physical activity?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
I'm in.
No, just sign up.
We'll just sign up and do stuff. All right, I'm in. Adam Lowy. Shout out to Adam Lowy. He's got me. There you go. I missed you both. You're in Florida right now. We're in Florida. I'm going to Florida tomorrow.
You are?
I'm going to Captiva tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I want to go.
I know. Yeah.
I need a vacation.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know if one of my kids misses the flight and if we got a spare ticket for you.
Okay.
But hey, what are you doing in Dallas right now? I know you didn't come all this way just to see me.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I really did. No, yeah, a lot of things have been going on at Oler. We, I guess about a month ago, we decided to open up an office here in Dallas. And we had, weeks ago, we had an opportunity to start talking with North Dallas Moving and Storage.
Ooh. And we got breaking news. This is a breaking story.
This is breaking news.
Has this been reported on any other outlet right now?
No.
Wow.
You are it, Ben.
Nice.
So we are acquiring North Dallas Moving and Storage.
Wow.
So we came up meeting with all their employees. They have great employees. It's going to be a great partnership. It's kind of funny because Jan Oler, who started Oler Relo, that was one of his first jobs in the industry, working for North Dallas.
So the Oler family, so Blake and Brian's father worked at North Dallas Moving and Storage 40 years ago.
About 40 years ago, yeah.
Wow. And now they are in a position where they can acquire it. And now that's going to give you an office here in Dallas.
It is. So I'll be up here more. And it just will complement what we do already with our clients. We do a lot of moves to the oil patch to Midland. And, it's just going to be a great opportunity for us. When we decided to come to Dallas about a month ago, we hired a guy by the name of Jason Smith, who came from Flood Sudeth. He's going to be a great leader for that office and that operations, and we're very fortunate to have him. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're super excited about the growth and expansion.
Wow, that's really cool. And you mentioned Sudeth, and a lot of people know that Sudeth actually just went to Atlas Van Lines. Did that create an opportunity for you?
It did. It created an opportunity for us to get the buy-in from Unigroup to open up as a United agent here. And as I said, we were in the midst of looking for a warehouse when this opportunity with North Dallas came about. And it just complements everything that we do on our power lanes from Texas. You know, we have a office and warehouse in New Jersey.
Where in New Jersey?
It's in Parsippany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Parsippany, North Jersey. There's a lot going on over there.
There is. A lot of our drivers live in that area. We have clients that move people in that area, and it works. It works.
So now is this the third location?
This is the third location.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Get in the comments if you got questions. I've got questions here. Tandra Chester's checking in. Hello, Julie. What's up, Tandra? There you go. Hey, Tandra, good to see you. Get in the comments. Give your company a shout out. Let us know who you are, where you are. Hit that like button. I'm really curious about this because I've been doing a little bit of M&A, mergers and acquisitions type of work. And what is it like to acquire? Like, what goes into acquiring a company, and just like kind of maybe help us understand that, because I think a lot of people who are watching this haven't maybe been a part of that.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is due diligence. But before it's even that, you have to find something or a company that has like culture and will complement what you do. And that's what North Dallas, did for us. It's a lot of due diligence and making sure that everything is in order. Mm-hmm. It's about the people. You just can't go in and, change everything. It's understanding what do they do, what role they play, and that's one thing that I've been doing while I'm here in Dallas is really getting to know their people. This morning we had a meeting with all their drivers and their warehouse folks, and brought breakfast in, and it was just really great to shake all their hands and let them know that we're here and we're going to support them.
Mm-hmm. And the future is bright.
It is.
I love that approach. I've been a part of acquisitions before. I've been acquired. I've been part of the acquiring party. And I think it's always important, to your point, to recognize that a company is a group of people working together towards a common purpose and financial goal. Right. And when you start to lose the people, you start to lose the whole. When you start to lose the parts, you lose the whole. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've seen in some cases where, and this can happen with different types of strategies, where sometimes companies are acquired and they lose a lot of people. And I can't help but think like, wow, you're letting a lot of value walk out the door.
Right.
There's a brain drain, right?
Right.
And what is a company if it's not the people? Mm-hmm. And you say, oh, well, I'm buying the client relationship. I'm buying the clients, right? Well, but those clients have relationships with the people that work through that company.
Exactly.
And when those people leave, what's left of the relationship that you had?
Well, and you lose a little bit of their culture too. So you're blending cultures. Like you're blending a family.
It's a blended family.
You are. And, we say we're the Oler family.
Yeah.
We're the Oler Relo family. And that's what we wanted to get across to everyone that we met, is that we want them to be part of our family. And you just can't go and change people. You have to understand who they are, be able to accept them, and let them know that they are valued, because they do. They bring a lot of history from that company. That's a 40, 50-year-old company.
Well, and how cool is it, again, that Jan Oler had worked there? So there's this kind of closing of a loop, kind of a, kind of thing, full circle kind of aspect to it.
Yeah, the what I've heard several times is that Brian Oler, when he was about 4 years old, was running up and down the halls of North Dallas. And Brandon, he was about the same age, so they were friends. So,
and they thought they were going to work there one day.
Yeah.
And then sure enough,
who would have thought? So No, and it's good for both parties,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the success that something like that brings.
Yeah, get in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts here. Questions about mergers and acquisitions, questions about growth and expansions, questions for Julie. She's got a new role. We're going to discuss her new big fancy job that she's got and how she's going to tackle all that. But I love the way you talk about kind of empathizing with people, and I just love that approach. I think it's just I think empathy is needed in every aspect of life.
I
and
agree.
It's underrated, I think, in business.
I agree.
We always say, oh, check your stuff at the door, right? It's like, no, people bring their whole self to work all the time. You can't really, decouple the two. Tom's got a question. Get in the comments here. Jill Guzda checking in. She's saying, hi, Julie. Hope you're enjoying HQ. Jillian, come on down. We need some sunshine. Okay, Jill. It's been rainy here.
Yeah. It was pouring when I walked in the building.
Oh my gosh. Did you fly in or?
No, I drove.
You drove, yeah. About 4.5 hours. What is it? 4?
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay. You didn't stop at Buc-ee's or anything?
I did stop at
Buc-ee's. You did stop at Buc-ee's?
For a bio break.
It's so predictable, right? Get to Buc-ee's, maybe get a little brisket sandwich, you know what I mean? Who knows, what happens on the road stays on the road,
That's right.
Tom's got a question for you, Julie.
Okay.
It's a hard-hitting one, too.
Okay.
It's paragraph form.
Oh, my God.
So
typical Tom.
So typical Tom. No, sir. Tom says, Julie, you've worked on both sides, corporate and RMC. Yeah, you've excelled in all those facets. I mean, RMC, corporate, now on the moving, supplier side. Anyway, we'll get into how awesome you are. Well, but here's a question, okay? Awesome's just pretext. You've worked on both sides, corporate and RMC. Anupam Singhal happened to do an RMC webinar earlier today. That's the WERC CEO. And he made a great point that, and I'm paraphrasing, the industry in general needs to be more empathetic to the increasing challenges faced by RMCs as far as balancing acceptable margin with expectations around best-in-class service. Thoughts? Empathy towards the RMCs. How do we feel about that?
How do we feel about that? Well, I mean,
increasing challenges faced by RMCs in balancing acceptable margin with expectations around best-in-class service.
So, I think it is a balance. So, coming from Shell, you're always looking at your pricing. You're looking at, from a procurement standpoint, you're looking at getting the best price or the best value without compromising service. And I was at a round table not too long ago with a corporate, and all they are focused on is price. They really, and I think that it says two things. One is that they don't value their employee.
Employee.
Their employee, because it's so tight on the cost that they have to do everything themselves, and can they really relocate without dipping into their own pockets?
Yep.
And then I also think it's a hardship on an RMC when they, when that business is sold to them and then they have to deliver. And I think what people don't always realize is all the different back shop that help make that client run smoothly. So you might have, yes, the coordinator who handles the relocation, and you have the account team, but you have the billing team, and you have the finance team, and you have the supply chain who manages all those different suppliers. And I think that it is a balance that you have to have. And I think that sometimes you're not always, for corporates. I mean, like Shell is one that, yes, you want to save money and you want to try to get the best value, but it's not always about the cheapest.
Yeah, it's interesting. you took that in terms of the employee experience, and that if you're giving somebody only a few grand to move, I remember my sister graduated from college and she went into the oil and gas field, and not the fields, but the industry. You gotta be careful, right? But no, but she had to, it's like report for duty on this day in 2 weeks from now, in the middle of nowhere. And here's was it $2,500? Was it $5 grand or 2,500? I think it was like 2,500. I think it was 2,500 because after taxes, like it was literally going to be hard to get a U-Haul and maybe some guys at Origin Destination.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be tight.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of summer, and it was just, and I was like, how could these folks expect? But she was, college grad, young person, and that's just what they did. And yeah, I mean that sent a message to her. She didn't last there very long. That was kind of part and parcel of their entire philosophy towards her career. She lasted there probably about a year, then went on to work at like Samsung and some other stuff. And so I see that, but the other side of it, and Tom's question here is interesting about being empathetic towards RMCs who are balancing having to make margin, and of course under new pressures even now with the NAR settlements and stuff, right? And of course the service expectations. I remember watching, listening to Bill Grable at a Grable Alliance meeting one year, and he said, the standard is no longer a 10, it's an 11.
Yeah.
And then the next year he showed up and he said, last year I told you it was an 11, this year it's a 12. And I was like, sheesh, Bill, like I can't count this high. What's it going to be next year, But it's the standards are always going up, right?
Yeah.
And how do we exist? Is that sustainable? Is it possible? And furthermore, what happens if RMCs aren't able to sustain themselves in this environment with margins compression and expectations continuing to go up? And do we end up in an environment back before RMCs, where it's just service providers and do programs, exist in-house again? Like, I'm really curious how this whole thing plays out.
I think that there's going to be less RMCs, and only the strongest are going to be able to survive, especially with the NAR. And I don't know how that's all going to work out. I remember starting my career when you had a homeowner file and it was $4,000, and you didn't have the big referral fee.
And that was a flat fee.
Then it got to, okay, now we want 500, and then it got to zero. We're going to get all these referral fees, and
zero fee is never zero fee, right?
It's never a zero fee, and it's all these baked in costs and everything. And I think that the pricing model really has to change, where it's very transparent pricing. I don't think that for most RMCs that is very transparent. There's a lot of, there's a lot of other fees that are baked into that, where I'm looking at it also from a procurement side. What I was looking at it from Shell is I wanted to know what I'm paying for, and I want to, I want a transparent model, and I think people are wanting that more so than ever.
Yeah, but now from a procurement standpoint, if we tell procurement what we're making on the file, on the household goods, on the this, on the that, procurement's job is always going to be to chisel that number as low as possible.
Maybe it depends on the company, but I think that like they want you as a supplier to be in business. So if they're pricing you so low that you are not going to be able to be sustainable and you're going to go out of business, then what happens to all their employees?
Yeah, so they want to push you to the brink of death and then pull you right back. It's like waterboarding. You don't want to kill the person. You just want to push them all the way to the brink, pull them back, and let them live right there.
Yeah, it's people have to have a margin, and it has to be a healthy, decent margin. But I think that with the NAR thing, it's really going to change quite a bit.
You've been on the RMC side, you've been on the corporate side, and you've been on the supplier side. You've had success in all phases. Do you ever see a day when the in-house program kind of comes back, where that becomes a predominant model again? Is that ever possible?
I mean, it might work for some companies. If you look at really big companies like a Shell or Chevron, that's not their core business. So I can tell you, I can kind of tell you what happened with me at Shell. Okay. So being on the RMC side, you always got all the up-to-date information all the time. So the leadership was always telling you or sharing with you what's going on in the industry. When you go to the corporate side, there's no one in that company sharing information about the relocation business.
Nobody knows what you do. Nobody knows how you do it.
My analogy, and this is going to be kind of, and I'm not the creator of this analogy. I heard it from Anita Blanchett many years ago. And she said, darling. She said, when you go to Shell, you're going to be like a lemon in a fish market. So,
wow.
You're not the fish. You're not the big fish. You're not pumping and drilling oil out of the ground.
There's a little slice of you sold with every fish, but that's it.
Yeah. But you're the lemon, because fish needs lemon to taste better and to smell better. So, in relocation, you're kind of like, in a big company, you're kind of like the lemon. You make the move work, you support the business, you do all these things from a supporting function. So I do think that for larger companies or even smaller companies, having an in-house program is really a struggle, because no one's feeding you information about the industry other than your suppliers. And then you have to be really careful about suppliers, because they're only telling you what they want you to hear.
They have an agenda. They have
their agenda.
Yeah.
So
driver shortage. We need more money at the curb.
Well, yeah. I remember challenging Brian when I was at Shell. I'm like, okay, for the last 20 years, I've been hearing about driver shortage. So what are we doing about it?
What are you going to do about it?
What are we going to do about it? So.
And now he put that problem squarely in your lap, didn't he?
Well, I will say that there's a couple of times that he will say, I'll say, why are we doing this? And he goes, someone I know sitting over at Shell.
One of our favorite corporate clients asked us to have this. An iPad on every job and wear a tuxedo to the VIPs. And so, bless her heart, she was wonderful. We loved her to death. Yeah, that's so funny, because now that's a really good segue. And shout out to Christina. Is this Christina McCarty? I think it is. Yeah, hey Christina, get in the comments here. Hit that like button. Put your questions there in the comments. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate you saying what a great discussion. Thank you very much. Yes, Julie is just a treasure trove of information and perspective here. Get in the comments. Want to know, what do you think about our industry right now and some of the topics and the things that we're talking about? Put it in there. We'll answer. We'll speak to it. But what a great segue, Julie, into your role. So you were on the corporate side at Shell, and I presume that Oler Relo Group just came to you one day and just dangled this fabulous life of working at a moving company in front of you, and you said, "Oh my gosh, an offer I can't refuse," and you jumped at the chance to fulfill a lifelong dream of working in the moving industry.
Absolutely, exactly. Right? It worked exactly like that.
I'm sure. And honestly, I mean, jumping from the corporate side to the service provider side for a moving company in a sales role, I was like, I don't know. I love Julie, but that's tough. That's a hard road to hoe.
We both thought that. So how it all started is about a year before I left Shell, my boss sat in Krakow, Poland, and the rest of the other contract managers, they sat either in the Philippines or they sat in Kuala Lumpur. So I was the only global mobility contract manager that sat in the region. So I had U.S., Canada, Latin America, and managed a $123 million program.
Wow.
Just for that region. So
that's a big program.
It was big. And so I knew at some point, because a lot of the HR functions were going over to the service centers at Shell. I knew at some point my global part of my role would go away.
Okay.
And so I could either go into procurement, into pipeline. I had an offer there. I had an offer in commercial real estate at Shell. And my heart was in mobility.
Mm-hmm.
So
just love being the lemon in the fish
I know,
market.
I love. So I was sharing that, and what was great about Shell is you would have these conversations, and they were very, very open. So they knew for a year that I would be leaving.
Wow! So they were very transparent.
Yeah, very transparent. They were helping me. Actually, my boss's boss flew in from Krakow to meet with me to figure out what role I wanted to take at Shell. And
so they were trying to retain you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They said, you're not going to be doing this, but we do want to keep you because we value you. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, Brian and I were having a conversation, and one of my friends, we were actually in Canada doing a review, and Brian was talking about this role that he was trying to fill. And my friend Kalisha from Shell basically said, hey, that sounds like the perfect role for you. And I said, well, I was thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it out loud. So then Brian and I started
Well, why didn't you want to say it out loud?
Well, because I was there with a bunch of Shell folks, you know, and I was like, sometimes I have to like think about things and kind of like get my thoughts before I just speak. And then other times I just speak.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Thoughts? What?
So I started talking to Brian, and he said this role he's been trying to fill.
And what was the role?
And the role was to Brian had been doing all the sales and leading the sales efforts, and he was looking to do other things within Oler. And so, he said, I want the sales and marketing person. And I'm thinking, I've never been in sales.
But
I've never been in marketing.
But something appealed to you about that role. What was it? Something spoke to you.
It did, because it was something I've never done. And one thing I really learned at Shell is if something makes you uncomfortable, you should run to it, not away from it.
I love that.
And that, that's how you stretch and grow. And if I'm going to go on the supplier side, back to the supplier side, I needed to stretch and grow way different than where I'd been before. And so I think that was really important. I think that after I got to Oler, there were several times I said to Brian, I think you have hired the suckiest salesperson ever. And
was there a moment where you were just like what was there like a moment like where you felt that way? Like,
well, I think when I joined,
I love those moments because that's where you learn. You learn in those moments.
Is. So, well, one, I came in and I was leading the commercial sales, residential sales team, and those folks had way more experience on that side of the business than I did. And so I was really learning from them. And I also, when I joined Oler, it was during COVID. So it was a hard time. And so you're calling people or you're trying to talk to people. I thought they really loved me and that they wanted to talk to me. And then I'm like, oh, they really don't want to talk to me, So that's when I kind of thought, okay, like, I'm not quite sure you made the right hire.
That is I want to stay for, because I've noticed that as well, because there's a lot of corporate folks who are looking for that next step. Of course, they all want to go back into another corporate job, but occasionally they go and they jump fences to what some may call the dark side. And then they realize there's a bit of corporate privilege. When you're a corporate, I would say like you're the belle of the ball, you know, the road rises to meet you. You know, you come in, you're put on these panels and you're the smartest person in the room and you get the free dinners and like everybody just goes to you and says, oh, please, corporate, grace us with your presence, corporate, please, whatever you want. You know, yes, I will go to a 4-year RFP cycle. Yes, please just come talk to me once a year. Love it. And then you find out really who your friends are, right? When you don't have that corporate mantle.
Oh, the first ERC after leaving Shell was like,
do I have COVID?
Do
I have it?
Like I'm like chopped liver. Like nobody's inviting me for a drink. I'm like going, hey, can I buy you a drink?
Yeah. Now you're putting your card down at the bar and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I mean, but some people can't power through that.
Yeah.
And you didn't let that phase you. I mean, obviously there's moments, right, where we had doubt and everything, but you persisted.
Yeah, so I told Brian, I've told others, I'm like, failing is not an option. Like I'm not gonna do something and fail at it. So I will do whatever. If I have to change the angle, or if I'm doing something and that's not working, then I have to do something different, you know? So for me, it's failure is just not an option. And so, you know, I just started I started building partnerships within the moving industry. And some of those folks I had known that maybe had called on me, or I had worked with before in the past. And I just really tried to forge those relationships. And that's kind of got me out of that. Like, yeah, you can do this. You can, you know, and it's all about the relationships, you know. 100%. And then once I got it out of my head from, okay, I have to sell something, to I have to build relationships, that changed the whole. If you just kind of like, we're more of instead of a salesperson, you're a relationship person. If you take that word away, your whole dynamics and your whole world opens up at that point.
I love it. And I respect you so much for this transition too, because all the things that you had done in your career, you didn't have to take this challenge on. And then when faced with adversity, you could have gone back to any number of things that you had already done before and been successful and been old hat for you. And at this stage in your career, with all the things you had accomplished, to willingly take on that challenge and to lean into it and to overcome the adversity and to sit with the problem and figure it out. I just have so much respect for you and in your grit, Julie. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I just want to say that. And I remember going to an HRP golf tournament, and I don't really play. I try not to play golf, but I do love driving the cart. Okay. So I did my paint. I painted. I'm a decent painter.
Yeah, you are a good painter.
Thank you. And I drove the cart. And I think it was me and Christine Reichenberger drove the cart around and had a blast. But I remember you had a hole. You had sponsored a hole.
Yeah, we did.
And I think maybe Blake was with you, or Brian. Anyway, you were at the hole and you were doing like Arnold Palmer's or something.
No, Oler Palmer.
Oler Palmer's.
Oler Palmer's.
And they were really John Daly's, I think.
Yeah, they were.
But you were out there in the sun, under the tent, serving up, you know, because you got to have a servant's heart in this business anyway, right? And I'm like, you know what? She if you can do that, you can do it. This is about relationships. And it reminds me, and get in the comments, because I love the comments I'm seeing here. Farrell, Adrian, keep them coming. Tom, keep the comments coming, the questions coming. But it reminds me of the first time that I learned to sell in this business. We had a very seasoned salesperson that we brought over to Pods, right? And they brought her in because she understood the Relo business and we didn't really understand it. And I was the young kind of upstart, guy from the call center, right? And I understood features and benefits better than anybody, right? And she had none of that, but she was, a seasoned person in the industry, right? And so she comes in and she's like, well, show me how you sell. So I was like, schedule some time on her calendar. I got a conference room for us, 2:30 in the afternoon. I went through my deck and I gave her the features and benefits and all the product. It's 4 inches off the ground, semi-translucent roof, blah, 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 blah. Going through everything, technology, blah, blah, all that stuff. And I say, all right, how'd I do at the end? 25 minutes, right? How'd I do? And she's like, meh. And I'm like, what do you mean, meh? I nailed it with charisma. I think I threw a joke in there. I mean, I'm nailing this. I mean, I'm telling you, I know all the specs to the centimeter of this container. And I was like, what do you mean, meh? I'm like, how do you sell? She gets up. She's like, hey, and she gives me a big old hug. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Is that, I said, show me how you sell. She's like, that's how I sell. I'm like, you can't touch people. You can't just go touching people and hugging people. I came from a call center environment. HR would have had my ass for that. There was a whole employee handbook about touching people. Right? I can't touch people. And that just totally changed everything for me. When I realized I could connect with people and be human with them and build relationships like what you're talking about, total game changer. Yeah. And then I just leaned into that, and that's been my whole MO.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to be the expert in everything, right? Because you can just bring someone in who's the expert. But I do think it is about building the relationships and just really being genuine in who you are, you know. I remember like it being at Shell and looking at slide decks, and they're like, yeah, we've got 98% overall favorable, and we do this and we do this and that, and they're giving all these stats, and I'm like, yeah, that's what the guy before you just said, you know, like, where are you different?
And that's a tough question to answer, to be honest with you. And that's why there's so much sameness in the marketplace, and our corporate partners are telling us, I don't know the difference between your van line. I don't know the difference between your RMC. Everybody's 100 years old and committed to quality and won every ceramic trophy out there, or acrylic trophy, you know, and how do you differentiate yourself? And Jack Jampel told me one time at a hookah bar at 11:30 at night, he said, how are you different? I was like, we're woman owned. He's like, no, how are you different? I was like, we have a 4.78 quality score out of 5. How are you? And he just kept peppering me. How are you different? And then I'm thinking, should I hit him? Like, what do I got to do to get through to this guy? You know? And he's like, no, the answer is you. You're the difference. Do I believe that you care about my program, about me? You're going to make me look good. You're going to take care of our customer. When something goes wrong, you're going to own it. You're going to fix it. Do I believe that more so than the 10 other people that have called on me this week? And I said, okay, well, let me tell you about me. And he said, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, so can I have your business? He's like, no, I got 10 other people ahead of you in line. They didn't say the same thing.
But it is, I mean, it's talking to people and understanding and getting to know them, like who is Ben Cross, or, you know, what do you like?
Julie.
And what do you know?
Yeah. And that's why doing these kinds of things are so important. Let's get into the comments here. We got a bunch of people checking in with us here. Adrian says, hey, shout out to Adrian Grimes here at Glomo. He says, love that. Something I pride myself on, always run towards the challenges. You know, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it. It's another thing to put your career on the line, your reputation, to go from being very respected, speaking on the panels, doing the things, get the certifications, to
not even getting a drink,
to like, can I get a cocktail over here? What do I gotta
like 5 rows back at the bar?
Hello. Get in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are. Farrell says, Farrell Elliott, shout out to Farrell. In recent conversations, I've learned that most corporates I find know that they can't be successful without us suppliers, and they have been welcoming, even though their hands might be tied at the moment. How do you break through? So we have a lot of service providers that watch this show because they're tired of cold calling. And how do we break through the noise and appeal to our corporate folks? And they tell us, yeah, but I'm not the decision maker, or yeah, but we're set at the moment, or yeah, but like, how do we break through the cycle of the convincing game and the rejection and all that stuff?
I don't know, to be honest. I really don't. I had tons of phone calls and emails, and sometimes they would bog my, email down. Sometimes, a lot of times I didn't respond because I just didn't have time, But I think it's just finding that, or if you send like some kind of nugget of information. Don't just say, hey, can we grab coffee? Can we do this? Whatever.
Can I
Because I could have like a coffee every, for the next year when I was at Shell. But I think that it's really just trying to find that nugget of something, like learn about the company, learn what's important to them, learn what their CEO is saying, and try to tailor, find out what their pain points are. People like to talk about themselves, right? And so if you're asking them about them personally or about their program or anything like that, they're a little bit more responsive than me telling them about me and Oler and everything else. I think where I feel like I've been successful at Oler in sales is I'm not trying to sell. I'm trying to help educate and be a resource for them. And not just on household goods. So I signed this one account, Echo Patrol. They're a Columbia oil and gas company. And I, talked with them and it was about their mobility program. It had nothing to do with household goods. And then we started talking about the household goods and
you can operate at that level and have those conversations.
Right,
I mean, most household goods salespeople, don't lack that sophistication,
Yeah. So, but again, finding out where their pain points are, what are they doing? Where are they going? Where's their growth? I think those are important.
Yeah. Really cool. We got more comments coming in here. Thanks for getting in the comments, everybody. Great question, Farrell. Christina says it's all about the relationships. For the best hugs, join the relocation industry.
Yeah.
I love it. My dad, look at my dad chiming in here. Always showing me some love, Dad. I appreciate you. Pain points equal gold. Solve their problems. Yeah, Dad. Cool. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tom here. Tom says specific to that whole. I love Tom's.
I know. Tom's like my biggest fan.
Jeez, Tom. You write anymore, we won't be able to see Julie's face here. Okay. It says specific to that whole bell of the ball thing pertaining to corporates being on panels, getting invites, etc. Corporates certainly add tons of value to mobility, of course, and ultimately are the financial lifeblood. With that being said, I knew there was a button here. With that being said, everyone needs to remember that they are focused on a narrow, singular culture, footprint, and business model. RMCs and suppliers are going to have a more wide-ranging perspective on true global best practices. Who's the most important cog in the wheel? Julie, is it the RMC, the supplier, the corporate program manager?
I think they're all important.
That's
such
a cop-out answer.
You can't really
trying to put you on the spot.
You can't have one without.
That's
you can't
true.
have one without the
other.
Yeah.
Karaoke.
Yeah, I know.
Karaoke will love a Relo here.
I don't know.
Which one has the hardest job? Let me ask that a different way. Who's got the hardest job? You've done them all now. You have done them all. Very few people have done them all for long enough.
I can tell you I never worked harder in all my life than on the corporate side. The corporate side was, because you have, maybe every corporation is different, right? But I had stakeholders in all the different divisions. So when we were doing a acquisition or we were going to a new location, it had relocation. If we were going to a new country, I was involved in going to that new country and working with the government. And it was a lot of work. We always talk about global, and you were talking about being overrated. Global is overrated.
Global's overrated
because I probably work like 17 hours a day. You're up at 4 a.m. having a call with Brazil. You have your colleagues in Krakow and in London, and and then after
Asia 1 comes online.
1 o'clock, well, they're all gone, and you still have to work on the U.S. side. So it's that was probably I don't want to say it was the hardest, but I've never worked harder. I loved it, and it challenged me. It challenged me in the way I think and the way, you know, there were super, super smart people at Shell. I actually felt like the dumb one there, but it was very, very rewarding, very challenging, and you always were on your toes.
Well, speaking of challenging, I want to get to this before we get into overrated, underrated, because you've got some good ones here. Get in the comments here, hit that like button. Let me know what you think about what Julie's saying or whatever's coming out of my mouth. But you have a challenging job now. You've gotten promoted recently.
I did.
What's your new role? Tell us about your new role.
So I'm the COO of Oler.
Chief Operating Officer.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's big. That's a big job.
It is a
basically
big
means
job.
You do everything.
It is a big job. So we work off of a concept of traction. It's an EOS model. And Oler had been doing it for, I think, from 2018, 2019, before I started there. And basically you have folks that are the visionaries, and they're the growth and the development and where the company's going. And Blake and Brian and Nancy are really focused on that piece of the business. The other side is you have the COO, who is the integrator, and it's really bringing all the different groups together and making sure that they're working together, that you've got the operations team and the sales team, and the salespeople are selling the right stuff and clean business, so operations can do it, and you have the billing teams, and then customer service. So you have all the different groups. You have the drivers.
It's a lot.
I was talking to Blake and Brian, and they were really looking to go, really focus on that visionary and the growth of Oler. And I said, I think I can do that. I can do this job.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to know the drivers and talking to them and understanding, their challenges or what's going on, or just have a cup of coffee with them. I've learned more about the operations, but don't technically quiz me right now on that. But sitting down with our operations team and learning what they do, it just amazes me. Yeah, I'm having fun.
Well, yeah, that's really neat. And all those different constituencies that you kind of talked about, and drivers especially, are the kind of the lifeblood of a moving company, right? They're kind of flowing shipments throughout. And gosh, it's like you can't live with them, you can't live without them. I mean, they're hard too. They're hard. They do a hard job, and they carry that with them. And we were talking a little bit about this. They really demand respect, and sometimes you gotta, they've been running that road. And it's a hard life out there, and sometimes they need a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes they need a business coach to tell them, get your books in order and run right, and sometimes they just need a hug,
Yeah, they need attention. I remember right after Blake and Brian announced my role, I was working a little bit late, and I was leaving, and 3 of our drivers were out in the yard, so to speak, and I drove up and rolled down my window and had an hour conversation with them. Like, I could have just kept going, right?
Yeah.
And gone home, because by that time it was already 6:30. I wanted to get home. But what I learned in that 1 hour about those 3 drivers really helped me understand, like, where are they coming from? These people leave their families. And we're trusting them with our customers, going into their home and, moving their precious items. So it's really, I really enjoyed talking with them, and it didn't feel like, oh, this is what you have to do. It's what I wanted to do. And I really feel like I'm building those relationships. today, this morning, when we were meeting with the drivers and the warehouse folks and crews, just going up to each one of them and shaking their hand. And they, at that point, they had no idea who, what my title was or anything. One of the guys goes, "Hey, hun, glad you're here." So, I mean, I take the huns. That doesn't offend me or anything. But, it's the people. It's what we do. Yes, we're a moving company, and yes, we have trucks and everything, but we couldn't do it unless we had the people to do it.
Well, and those people, those drivers especially, can go to any shop in the country and get a job like that.
Yeah.
And they know it. And so the fact that they choose to consistently, show up and pull for Oler is a testament to their belief in the vision and the operations of that company and the future prospects of that company.
I got to keep it going.
You got to keep it going. But I think that the way that you approach it, from everything I can tell from just knowing you, you bring with you such an empathy and a respect for the people that are doing the work, and people pick up on that.
Well, they, everybody in a company, all the way to the person who cleans the toilet, is so important. I do have to tell you, there's this guy, and if any of the folks at North Dallas or Oler are watching this, you're going to start laughing. But one of the first guys we met at North Dallas was Joe, and he cleans. He cleans the yard. He cleans the trucks. He cleans the warehouse. He will clean anything, and that's what he told. I mean, all yesterday he's like, "I'll make this place sparkling. We're going to get it clean." And he's so important. He's important when we bring a client into our shop, that, when it sparkles like that, you build that relationship and trust, and he's an important part of that equation.
Yep. You know what? And a clean warehouse is a profitable, efficient warehouse.
Absolutely.
Because if there's, if it's not clean, if you don't have time to clean it, you're not running right.
Yeah, exactly. There's something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Joe and all the people that keep us running clean out here. Julie, I could talk to you forever. But let's get into this. Let's play a little game. You want to play a little game? All right, let's play a little game. Adam, let's play a little overrated, underrated. Now, Julie, do you know how to play overrated, underrated?
No, I don't.
It's very simple. There's basically two things you got to keep in mind. One, I will give you a topic, and you will tell me if it is either overrated or underrated. Don't overthink it. Don't get cute. Okay, those are your two options. Okay. Second is I will tell you if you are correct.
Okay. And how do I know you're correct?
It's my show.
Oh, okay.
I'm automatically correct.
Just checking.
All right.
I like to be right.
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, let's go here. Overrated, underrated. The first one is Dallas food.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah, everybody knows Houston has better food.
Houston has better food. So then is Dallas food overrated because Houston is better? So is Dallas actually is it overrated? Should it be rated lower?
It should be rated lower.
Should be rated lower?
No, Houston should be
rated higher. So this is a trick. This is a tricky concept. So if Dallas is say somebody says Dallas food is a 9, and you're like, whoa, that's overrated.
That is overrated.
Yeah, you gotta bump it down.
You gotta bump it down.
So Dallas food is overrated in your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody knows Houston has better food.
I think Dallas food, generally speaking, is underrated. People don't think of Dallas as a food city. Although they think of Texas as we have Tex-Mex, we have the barbecue. I mean, I think we are probably the best in those two categories. California has a claim. New Mexico has a claim. They're different styles, whatever. Fine. I still think Texas is number one in both of those Mexican and barbecue categories. But I will say Houston probably is better in the Tex-Mex category, and might also be better
Cajun.
in the barbecue. And then you have the Cajun.
But other than
Cajun.
Louisiana,
We don't have Cajun in Dallas like that.
No.
Or it's not like good. But y'all, you know what else you got? You have that Vietnamese flair going on too down there. Y'all, I haven't had these yet, but I've got friends that talk about the Vietnamese crawfish.
Yes.
Oh, we got a not so
Okay,
fast.
so
Adrian says not so fast. I don't think Houston's food is better. Adrian, give me a reason. Give me one reason to stay here.
You
All
just
right.
haven't come and hung out with
Well,
the Colemans.
The Coleman. Well, we haven't hung out with the Colemans, so everybody's invited to the cookout at the Coleman's house. What do y'all make? What is your, if you were to have us over, if we were to host a Love and Relo 600 party at the Coleman's Casa de Coleman, what would we be?
So we love to grill.
Okay.
We do grill steaks. The other is we make homemade pizzas with our own dough. We make our own dough and everything. Has nothing to do with Tex-Mex or anything like that.
A solid pizza.
But yeah.
What's the key to a good pizza?
My husband. He makes really good pizzas.
There you go.
No, I think it's all about the dough. I think having a crispy, bottom crust is really, really good. I don't like my pizza hanging over.
So you're like a Dave Portnoy pizza purist.
Yeah.
One bite, everyone knows the rules.
There's a thing called, is it Chef's Table? Table for pizza. So I think one of Lee and I's goal is to go to all of those best pizza places.
Okay.
So we've only been to number 1, and that's in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's not even like Naples. I mean, Naples is probably in the top 5, or Rome, but the number 1 is in Phoenix.
Worldwide.
That's worldwide. Yeah.
People in New York are just rolling over in there.
Pizza would be it.
Pizza, and we got a Houstonian talking about pizza over here. Adrian offers his services. He will gladly come down to Houston and taste test. All right. You know what, Julie? I'm going to actually give this one to you. I love inciting these intra-state riots here between Houston and Dallas.
Okay.
Inviting Houstonians on the show and then throwing rocks at their city. But, I think Dallas food is generally underrated. However, I think Houston might be better than Dallas.
Okay.
And
I can say that because I lived in Dallas for 22 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have no clue.
You have excellent perspective on a lot of things. You do. Where's the best Jamaican food? Besides Jamaica.
Besides Jamaica.
People may not know this, but Julie, you kind of grew up in Jamaica.
I did. I grew up in Jamaica. So there is a new little restaurant in Houston called Good Food, G-U-D Food, and they have really, really good Jamaican food.
Favorite Jamaican dish?
Curried goat.
Curry goat. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
But there was a place here in Dallas. I'm trying to think. It's called Island. I don't know. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Island Delight or something like that. And
put it in the comments. If you know any good Jamaican spots, put it in the comments. Something we used to get in New York that I haven't really had down here. All right, I'm going to give you half credit on this one. Okay. Because technically, I do think Dallas is underrated.
Okay.
But compared to Houston,
so I have a point.
You have a half a point.
A half.
Now you can round that up if you're into math, but for the record, technically it's a half point. I've not awarded half points many times, so we'll see how this plays out in the total. Next one up here. Grandkids, overrated, underrated, and now they may be watching.
Underrated.
There you go.
Underrated.
Really went out on a limb there. Why is grandkids underrated?
I don't know. So I have one grandson. I'm getting ready to have another grandbaby.
Baby on the way.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
That's exciting.
But Reese is he is everything to me. He is just awesome. I sometimes think if I could, and I do love my sons. I really do love my sons.
There's a butt. There's a butt coming.
All that children and gone right to grandkids, it would be wonderful.
Just skip the kids. And
but you can always give the grandkids back, right? So it's not 24/7.
So how old is Reese now?
Reese he will be 3 in September. So
wow, is he talking?
He is. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
I love that baby talk.
I know. He's so cute.
So good. So good. He's running around and stuff.
He's running around. Yeah. Not so much getting into stuff.
Oh, he's well behaved.
He's a very well behaved little boy. Yeah. They they're doing a great job with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're here locally.
They're here. Yeah. So it's, I mean, we need to buy
get a place.
a place here.
They're over there
yeah.
by that North Dallas.
They are. They're in Carrollton,
aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now I worked right across from that North Dallas Moving and Storage at the Pods warehouse right across the street on Luna Road. It was 2200 Luna Road.
Yeah.
I remember the address. And I drove by right on George Bush, and I could see the United trucks in the yard, and then I could see the pot stands in the yard. And wow, interesting. Very cool. All right, grandkids. Yeah, grandkids are amazing. Is it possible for them to be underrated though? I mean, they're rated so highly. I feel like grandkids just like come out of the womb walking on water over here.
They are.
You know?
They are.
Oh man. All right, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Grandkids are underrated. Let's go. That's an easy one. All right, next one up. Curveball here coming. I know there's some heat coming at you here. What's the next one? In office, overrated or underrated?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Now you might evoke some ire here.
Yeah, I think it's underrated, to be honest.
Really? Okay. Are y'all an in-office environment?
We are. We do have people that work from home, or work in different states and so forth, and it works. But I think that you miss something by not being in the office. You miss the networking, the learning opportunities that happen. I just think that, like, I don't know if I would want to work from home every day. I think you get secluded. The days that I have worked from home, and when I was at Shell, I worked a couple of days. I never got up. I did not do laundry. I did not go for a walk. And I literally was in, my office working the whole time. And, and if you're, I don't know, I just feel like you lose opportunities, potentially for growth.
It feels almost inhuman if you think about it. Cause like, I know what you mean, especially if you're on a call at 4 a.m. and then you're all the way working through, maybe Asia or something. I don't know, say you're the West Coast, you're on call, all day. You're just planted in that chair, and you got your big Stanley or something you're working on over here, and you practically got a catheter running, and you're just sitting there just taking Zoom calls. And it's almost like some dystopian future where humans are just like, they're minding our brains and we're just, just blobs on a chair. It's like, getting out and like meeting people and pressing the flesh and having conversations and laughing with people and stretching your legs a little bit and sharing a lunch with somebody. And it's part of the human experience.
Yeah, it is. I think we were born to have relationships with people, and having a relationship over a Zoom call isn't really a relationship. I mean, it's not the one that I would want. And I just think that you miss a lot of opportunities for growth and development when you're not in the office. And sometimes you're just forgotten when you're not in the office, out of sight, out of mind, so
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
100%. A lot's been written about proximity bias as well, right? It's, opportunity, kind of radiates out, right? So it kind of flows to the nearest people. Location's important. Farrell says in office is underrated. I miss being in an office with conversation and idea sharing so much. Yeah, Farrell, what do you do? How do you bridge that gap? I mean, I see you travel a lot. I know you get out and you network, and that's pretty cool. Do you get together quarterly or semi-annually, with your folks? I mean, how do you bridge that gap? You said you have remote employees now. I mean, now that you're the COO, I mean, what is the plan to kind of reach out, bring people in virtually, however you want to do it? I mean, what is your thoughts on that?
So we have part of that EOS model is that we have connects with people every week. So every department has their own L10 meeting, and they connect through Teams or Zoom or whatever. I think the other thing that's important is bringing those people into the headquarters, into the office, right? And we do that. Matter of fact, we just had a big crawfish boil, and we brought everyone that was, from our company to Houston. And Blake boils up a bunch of crawfish, and we put it on tables and just have a really nice time.
That's awesome.
And it's a way to connect. And a lot of those folks will come and spend the whole week or a few days and work out of the office. But I think you got to bring people in. You have to be intentional in bringing them back into the office, even if it's for just a week.
Yeah. I love it. Couldn't agree with you more. Farrell saying bi-weekly Teams calls, but not the same. It's just a product of geography. Not possible to get to Ohio from California very often. The travel is what pulls it together.
Yep.
Yeah, really cool. All right. I agree with you, Julie. You got a point there. You got a lot of momentum right now. 2.5 points. You got a lot of momentum here. Oh, it's such a messed up game. Here we go. All right, next one up. Dallas hairdos.
Well,
overrated or underrated?
Probably overrated. So I have to tell you a story.
Go for it.
Okay. So when I lived here in Dallas, I had my hair done, and I didn't realize that I did have a little bit of big hair.
Yeah. Over time, it just kind of grows.
And so then I moved to Houston, and actually for a while I had to come back to Dallas to get my hair done because it's like a personal thing with your hairdresser and everything.
Drive 4 hours, get your hair done, 4 hours back.
Yeah. So I finally found this guy who did my hair, and he got through blow drying it, cutting it, everything, and then I go, he was done. No hairspray, like nothing. And I'm like, are you gonna like tease it or do anything a little bit? And he says, honey, we're not in Dallas anymore. So
well, in fairness, though, in Houston, you walk out of the hairdresser and you hit the swamp air.
Exactly.
And it's just going to melt anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas Dallas is like walking around a hairdryer, so you've got that hot 104 dry heat going, and it it magically just keeps those curls bouncy and all that volume in there, Yep. This is great here. Tandra's saying overrated, too big. I've gotten bigger hair, honestly, having come to Dallas. I've got a little zhuzh in there, a little poof. I tease it right around the part is where I just kind of pop it up like that a little bit. And then I highlight it with a nice halo from behind with the backlight. That's great, Tanner. But Dallas is known for their big hair. Their big hair and blonde, big blonde hair, down here in Dallas.
So I don't want to be hating on Dallas because I lived here, right? I lived here for 22 years. I always think the difference between Houston and Dallas is very cosmopolitan. It's a lot cleaner. It's a lot cleaner than Houston. It has zoning where Houston really doesn't have zoning, but Houston's very metropolitan.
So what's the difference between cosmopolitan and metropolitan? I love the use of this words. I love this dichotomy here, but help me understand it.
Well, so I think for me, cosmopolitan is all about the glitz, all about the cleanness, all about the hustle and bustle. And it's not that we don't have that in Houston, but it's just kind of the persona of a cosmopolitan city. You look at and I used to think Houston had a beautiful skyline. Dallas really has a beautiful skyline. I mean,
we do, and it's gotten better too.
It's gotten better
with the lights. We do a lot of neon.
Yeah, and just the buildings and the architecture has really changed. Houston is very metropolitan. We're kind of like the melting pot of so many different cultures. I remember, I don't even know if Houston still has it, but they used to have the International Festival for like a whole month, and they would like every 3 or 4 days they would change whatever the culture or the country or whatever, and you go and try that food and you see the dance and all the different things. So I think we're very much very metropolitan. We're a little bit more down to earth. I think Dallas, you have to dress up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you know,
Cars are a little nicer, you know, because our roads don't have as many potholes, and
well,
nobody's
we
gonna
got a lot,
nobody's gonna steal them from you know. Yeah, I love the Houston Dallas rivalry thing, but no, I love your comparison because Dallas is very cosmopolitan. It's kind of chic, it's glitz and glamour, it's a little bougie, you know, whereas Houston is an actual city.
Yeah,
Dallas is like people might work in the city, they might not even work in the city. We just claim the sports teams. Yeah, you know, and half of them don't even play there, you know, and so whereas Houston's an actual city and stuff happens in the city limits. So I think that's a really good comparison. Dallas hairdos overrated. You know, I mean, big blonde hair. I mean, that's, you know, it's hard to argue with, but you know, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, Julie. Okay. All right, you got it. You're on a roll here.
3.5.
3.5. Okay. All right, 3.5 out of 4. You're doing well. You're doing well. You know, top block. Really, top block scores here. Let's go here to last one up. We got one more for us. Selfies.
Very overrated. You know, like, why do we have to have a picture of everything? Why do we have to, like, I don't know. That's a little arrogant, taking a picture of yourself. You know, a little, I don't know.
I mean,
and then you have the whole arm thing out, like
the arm. The arm is
and
weird.
But you always see that, you know. Lee and I were in Europe.
So is it better to have the stick or the arm?
Well, I was going to mention, like, Lee and I were in Europe December last year, and so many people would have like the selfie stick. I'm like, you know, you can't even walk with someone out pulling that stick out and taking a picture. You know, I don't know.
It's funny with selfie sticks. They were huge, and then they went away. And have they come back now?
In Europe we saw a lot.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants that shot in front of the, you know, the Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Eiffel Tower. You know, I mean, I get it. You know, I'm still gonna make you take a picture before you leave here. We'll just do it with a tripod.
Okay.
You know, but
I don't know. I'm like, do we have to have a picture of everything? And do I have to have a picture of, I don't know. Lee and I are horrible at it. So every time
not taking pictures.
No, we're horrible. If we try to do a selfie, we totally suck at it. Like, it's like, okay, delete that one.
Delete that one.
But I don't know. I feel like that's overrated.
Yeah. We do a lot of it. You know what it is too, and I'm guilty of this, but I don't post them as much, but I take them, the food pictures. I take a lot of pictures.
But I have so many. But don't you have like so many pictures in your camera? And then do you ever go back and look at all that stuff? Like,
no, unless
and there's maybe like 4 or 5 pictures that I go back and like repeatedly look at.
Do you have your phone on you?
No.
I'm curious. How many pictures do you think you have on your? Put it in the comments. If you're still watching this right now, open up your phone. Tell me. My mic died. Oh goodness, what happened? My mic died.
Do you want my mic?
It says Julie's mic is picking me up. What happened? Did my mic die? All right. Am I back on? No, it's dead. It dead. Yeah,
we'll share.
All right, you can still hear us. If you get in the comments, if you're still watching this right now, I know we're going long here, and this is we're gonna wrap here in a second. I'm really curious, how many pictures do you have in your phone? I have.
You made a guess?
Yeah, why don't you give it a guess? This is for half a point. If you can get within 10%. You know, that's household goods. Household goods, 10% variance.
2,000.
Come on, Julie. It's a phone. It's
the
iCloud.
I don't know
it
how.
Didn't go away. It just stays with me forever. So how?
Okay. You think higher? More?
A lot more. I'm gonna give you one more guess. A lot more.
9,000.
All right. I tried to give you that half point. I really did.
That's
okay.
Let it be
set for the record. 60,000.
60,000. What are you gonna do with 60,000 pictures?
Die. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them.
It's also like when you go to a conference and you see the slides on the thing and you take a picture of the slides. You ever go back and look at those pictures about the slides?
No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't know why we do that.
I don't know why we do that.
We do that just why we do it? Because we want to show our boss that we were like actually
at the conference.
We weren't just hitting the ice luge and the wine bar and stuff. Selfies. You know, Pixar didn't happen. It's kind of like what the generation we're living in, you know. I like selfies because I also think it's a bonding moment. So it's like, hey, like it's kind of like a half a hug, half a pic.
Mhm.
Like, hey, look, we're here together. And then I'll text it over to you afterwards. I'll be like, hey, great seeing you today, Julie. Thanks for stopping by. And you theoretically like the picture too that we took. And like maybe you, I don't know, maybe it pops up on your slideshow like 2 years from now. Like this is where you were 2 years ago with Ben hanging out. No?
But I have it in my memory.
Yeah, but is that reliable?
Yeah.
Is it? For all of us. Eyewitness testimonies.
I have a really good memory.
Oh gosh, that's scary. Okay, all right. I don't
know. Okay, well, we'll do a selfie. We'll do a selfie. You can text it to me, and I'll put it in my photos.
And then maybe it will.
And then next time we talk, we'll see how many times did we look at that picture.
Every night before bed, I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna say, "Oh, Julie, thoughts and prayers, Julie." All right, selfies are overrated. It's been stated they're overrated, but I'm going to try to change her mind. She's got 4.5 points. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Julie Coleman, COO, Oler Relo Group. Julie, why don't you leave us maybe just with a final thought before we depart
today? I don't know what the final thought is, but what's on my mind? It's just some exciting times right now. And I think just go out and embrace it. You know, I hear people are struggling, and just look at opportunities and look at the positive. I choose happy every day.
Yeah.
If I'm not happy doing something, I do something different. Right. But I choose happy every day.
I love it. Choose happy every day. Julie Coleman, fantastic. Tom Brune says amen on the memory, Julie. And thanks for the memories. That's nice, Tom. Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, everybody, this has been phenomenal. Hit that like button. Give Julie a virtual round of applause. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week. It's been phenomenal. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I won't see y'all till Thursday of next week.
Have fun.
I'm going to try. We'll see what happens. I'm bringing my family, though. It'll be good.
Good times.
Yeah, there's somebody who's grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, y'all, take care. See you later.